Hello learners, I am Dr. Subodh Kesharwani working with Indira Gandhi National Open University in School of Management Studies. The topic which I am going to talk about, Introduction to Computers. Prior to going into the depth of this topic, I just want to throw a light about this, how this course is related with the particular program or the particular, the unit. This is part of a BCom CBCS course. BCom CBCS is a choice-based credit system, and which is introduced by, which had been recently introduced and talks about the credits which we are going to achieve. So this choice-based credit system is uh, is providing about the certain credits. And if you talk about this particular uh, course or this computer application business, this is a third semester course, and we are going to start from the very first unit, the basic unit about the computers. And if you talk more about this computer application business, this is a course which talks about how there is an application of computers in business. If in this BCom we have got various courses which talks about the commerce related applications, like we have income tax, we have computers, we have business, we have accounts, we have finance. So this is a course which talks about how the computers is going to play a very important role. And when you are going to talk about this introduction to computers, I think computer is a term which is very omnipresent in nature, and there's no need to talk too much about computers, because computer is something which is a part and parcel of our daily life. And every day without computers, if you talk, we stands nowhere. So I think being a teacher, I can talk more about the computers, because learners are quite familiar with that. So but anyway, since we are here, we are going to talk on this particular term, and more talking about how the computer is going to be applied in business. And in coming units, you will find out this. As far as this particular course is concerned, we have talked a lot about computers, we have talked a lot about data, we have talked about handling of data, we talk about how the business is going to be used, get a niche when the computer application is there. But anyway, this is a 4 credit elective course, which is, and this is one of the skill enhancement course. And the main objective of the course is to familiarize the student with the application of computers and business, because computers are, as I have told, it's omnipresent, it's everybody's familiar with that. But how there's a usage of computers in business, that is quite important, because as an entrepreneur, as a grassroots entrepreneurs, as a first generation entrepreneurs, there is a great use of technology. And when you're talking about the computers, computer is nothing but a technology. How you're going to use the technology, because there was a time when computer was just the screen or the CPUs, and after a certain time, it had taken a shape of a gadgets or laptops, and right now the smartphone is working as a computers. Because when you go more into the depth of computers, you will find out it have a combination of hardware and software. Hardware is something which have got a physical appearance, and hardware could be would be a mobile, or the physical shape is there. But if you see in the backdrop, you find the internal machine is internal, the technology which had been used going to play a very important role. And this software is nothing but application software and system software. We will definitely throw a light on this particular part, that what is software, what is hardware, what is system software, what is application software. Because when you talk about application of software is going to play a very important role, because today time is talking more about the customization. Today trend is talking about the customizations, the soft customization of software. And when you talk about the application software, it's purely nothing but a software which is quite applied to the particular domain. Like for fashion designing, you have one software. For movie making, you have got another software. For watching a video, you can have a YouTube's. For making a presentation, you have a PowerPoint. For writing something, you have a Microsoft Word. Comparing the charts and graphs, you have an Excel spreadsheet. So this particular course talks about all those things, like starting from how you're going to acclimatize yourself in Microsoft Word, how you're going to do the things in Excel, or can make a presentation. And movie making is also there, because right now we have moved from text to graph based to video based. So video based model is coming up, where learning is quite video friendly, where you can watch the video. If I am going to read particular thing, I just go to the video and then find out what is the thing. So That is the reason, we are also here to talking more about in a more video format way. So anyway, in this particular course, you find out the 20 chapters are there, and bifurcated into part A and part B. Part B consists of two blocks, and which talks about Excel and Microsoft Word. And part A, which is the first unit of this particular block, comes under this part A, and this part A talks about uh, the introduction to computers and other things. We will see how the things are there. And if you see this computer application, business computer has made a very vital impact on society. That is very true, because without technology, we stand nowhere. It has changed the way of life. The use of computer technology has affected every field of life. It's not like that you can name one domain. Either it could be the education industry, or it could be the aviation industry, or it could be the learning industry, or the product delivery, or delivery of the thing, learning service. Everywhere you find out computer is there is a great use of computers. Rather, we can say there is a great use of technology. Computer is one of the ingredients of as far as the technology is concerned. So people are using computers to perform different tasks quick and easily. Very easily they can do the things. They can store the data. They can do the particular job in a multiple manner. And since due to storage, no repetition is there. So use of computer makes different tasks easier. So computer impact in various domains, we have seen that as far as the speed is concerned, if you want to quite speedy, you require the use of computers, because the manual work have certain constraints, and when you talk about the computer, it is more fast as compared to the other things. So that is the reason you see the robots are coming up, and robots are equipped with certain hardwares and softwares, and it can govern. So human less interventions are there, more usage of humans are there. And in pandemic, we have seen there are certain stores. There are certain stores in Western world or in India which are purely equipped with the robots. Now robots are ordering the or delivering the food in place of waiters. The robots are serving in the restaurants. So this is something which had given new thought to the individual, that how the computers can put its impact in the other part of the world. Then accuracy is there. Then stores huge amount of data. That is very true. And big data analytics, which we used to usually talk about when we are going to talk about the chapter called data handling, we will definitely talk about how the data is going to be stored and how the data is going to be handled. Because right now the data is in gigantic shape, and if you are going to use the data, you have to be quite systematic in that. If you are not going to haphazardly you are going to take a data, you can't get the result, because data is going to play the very important role in the present scenario. Online trading is there, online education is there, learning is going to be changed with the change of time. We are moving from face-to-face learning to online learning, then electronic learning, then blended learning, and right now hybrid learning is there. So there we have observed that this online education is there, and somewhere the robots are going to teach you, somewhere the instructors are going to teach you, somewhere you are having a flavor of face-to-face education. So all those things are there. Research is something where computers had played a very important role, and we when we were the doctor student, we see how this SPSS software and how these electronic softwares are playing a very important role as far as the data analytics are concerned. Because with the help of data analytics, we have done a marvelous job. We have formulated the questionnaire and put it online on the web, and respondents are used to reciprocate with the help of that. So this is where a lot of change had come up. Forecasting weather is going to play a very important role, and very easily we can know when there could be what could be the weather conditions, and accordingly we can move from our own other things. So predicting earthquakes, produce employment, and then internet in business. What we observe that internet in business is going to play a very important role, and right now we are more talking about Internet of Thing. That is IoT we are talking about, which is nothing but internet for everything. So everywhere there is Wi-Fi and other approach is there. So very easily you can do the video streaming, you can do the other things. And change is also coming up. We have, and in entertainment industry, what we observe that this web series philosophy, the web model had changed things in a very different manner, and this had given roof to the new way of thinking. So when you're talking about this particular part A, which bifurcate into three blocks. The first block talks about introduction to computers, which I am talking here in totality. Then you have application of computers, then web applications, then basics of computer softwares, then business information system, IT security measures in business, internet services and email configuration, then how we are going to use the plastic money, e-wallet and online pay, and the virtual currency is coming up, then word processing, and in the next part we have Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and how to use the multimedia. This is all about. So anyway, I am going to talk today about introduction to computers, and we are going to talk about overview of computers, evolution of computers, classification of computers, components of computer system, that is hardware and software, then application softwares and advantages and disadvantages of computers. It's very challenging for a teacher, to talk about the term which is quite omnipresent, and computer is something which is quite friendly to all, and the kid who is 3 years old are more familiar with that, what exactly the computer is. And that is the reason we say that there was a time when we called that after Christ or before Christ. But right now we say the pre-Google and post-Google era. When we talk about the pre-Google, the people who born before the Google was there, and post-Google era talks about that the people who born after the Google advent into picture. So anyway, the purpose is very clear that technology is going to change, revamp the whole process. And computer, the definition of the computer, or the name of the computer is just a computer, but it's in the present scenario it talks about the smartphone, or the gadgets, or technology enabled learning, or technology enabled formats. So this unit gives the basic introduction of computers and its evolution, classification, usages, and various components, as well as advantages and disadvantages on the other hand, because there are certain advantages, there are certain disadvantages. If you are more using or more depend on the computers, ultimately what will happen, you will be away from your legacy systems, and this is not going to sabotage your legacy process or the existing way of doing the things, but somewhere haphazard the whole system. So we have to see what could be the proportion of using the computers, and that proportion should be very, very strategically, very tactfully taken care. And if you are not going to take care about that thing, ultimately we always run towards the technology, and more you are running towards the technology, you are become addict to that. And it is always quoted that addiction is not always good. And if you are more addicted to anything, ultimately what will happen, it leads to a turmoil. So one has to come out from those things, that what could be the proportion, and what are the percentages by which the technology is going to be implemented, because implementation of technology is not everybody cup of tea. More you're talking about technology, more you're talking about latest technology or latest thoughts, the cost is going to be involved. And if there could be more cost, ultimately you're thinking more about implementation, more talking about human-less intervention. So human involvement should always be there, because if you more talk about the human-less format, this can lead to a very hue and cry situation, and how you're going to give employment to the individuals. In that case, the skilling is also going to play a very important role. We have certain courses in our BCom which talks about the skilling, how one can skill themselves, how one can make themselves acquainted with the latest trend, so that they can very easily get the employment or create their own enterprise and formulate other things. In our different units, you find out that how the business is going to be run, and there also the computer is going to play a very important role. So this unit makes us familiar about how computers being an integral part of our day-to-day life. It's not like that you talk about computers in a production world, in a corporate world, in academia, in a day-to-day activity, in various places. You name the industry, you name the format, you name the association, or name the organization, or the entity, you find out computer is everywhere, and it had got different way of doing the thing, but end of the day the computer is there. And when we talk about computers, we talk about the hardware and software. So this is about computers. This is a graph from 1960 to 2020 onwards. A computer is a machine that can be programmed to accept data input, process into useful information, that is output, and store it away in a secondary storage device for a safekeeping or later reuse. So this is a model this is a very common definition. This is a very definition. This is a statement which is, we all know, there's an input, there's an output. Garbage in is there, which talks about that garbage out, that whatever the data you're going to put on the computer, you get the similar kind of result. So GIGO method is one of the genesis behind the computers. And secondary storage device is there. That is very true. And there was a time when secondary storage device was having a physical format, but right now the data is moving from in a cloud. So the cloud computing had taken a shape of a new thing where you can virtually have a drive which is known in the present scenario, that is Microsoft One or Google Drive, where you can store a data as far as the individuals are concerned. And somewhere the big servers are there. If you talk about AWS servers, Amazon Web Services are there, and a lot of other companies are there which are creating the storage device. So there is no need to physically store data on that format. You just have a secondary storage device, and there you can store and keep your data for the later use. So but again, the cost matters when you go for the cloud computing. When you go for virtual drives, you have to pay certain amount on a monthly basis or yearly basis. And that is where the things are going to be changed. So we have to see how we are going to use the technology. In 1960, the mini mainframe computers were there. In 70, we have mini computers, then workstations, then personal computer had come up. And 2010, you see how this smartphone had come up, because there was a time when Nokia was dominating this mobile market, and at that time, nobody was using the smartphone because there were no such application in the mobile which can run. In laptop or desktop, we have a software, we have a Windows, we have Linux, we have Red Hat, and we have a lot of operating systems which are executing the process. But in smartphones, the operating systems were in a disk operating system. It's not in a GUI mode, that is graphical user interface. So Android had created a new phenomena, and they have come up with their own operating systems, which was frequently used by majority of the smartphone manufacturers. So this had given a new paradigm shift to the industry, and from there the things had come up, and then sensor-based model had come up. So what we observed, that there is a changing definition of computers to a smartphone. So there was a time when computer was just computers, that is hardware and software, but right now, if you more talk about computer, is no doubt talking about the operating systems, which if we use in mobile, it is Android or Symbian. If we use in desktop, it could be Microsoft Word or MacBook or Macintosh or Linux, which is a open source operating system. So a lot of open source model is also coming up, where you get the code, and as an individual you can formulate the things and do that. So global experts are now predicting that smartphones and tablets will increasingly replace desktops and laptops. That is very true, and majority of things we accomplish through our mobile phones, and this is a greatest boon to the mankind. And what you observe, that things are going to be changed with the change of time, and tablets and smartphones are coming up. And there was a great use of hard disk drives. What we observed, that right now the solid state drive had come up, and then M2 is coming up, and these hardwares have changed the thing. The small chip is there, a size of a matchbox, which can store the data and store a huge number of data, 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte data. So, and this hard disk is not just working as a memory, but on the other hand, executing the speed of the system also. Somewhere it is facilitating the speed as well as storing. So doing a lot of both the jobs simultaneously. So this is a generation of computers. The first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, and fifth generation. So what we have seen, that started with the vacuum tubes, then transistors, then integrated circuit, then LSI is there, and finally what we observed, that the sixth generations or the fifth generation which is there, which talks about the artificial intelligence or nanotechnologies, and which is purely in a Wi-Fi mode, and a lot of change is coming up. The equipments are equipped with with the Wi-Fi and other things. Nobody had thought of that the tube lights or the bulbs are having a features of Wi-Fi. So with the help of the Google Assistants or Alexa or Siri, you can just open the light, switch off the light, switch on the light. So this is called generation of changes which is coming up, and mindset is changing. Generation is of computers talks about the first things, whereas the next generations talks about more moving towards the cloud, more moving towards the AI, more usage of the robots and other things. So the fifth generation, if you talk about, uh, in a development stage, and it talks about the quantum computation. So we can say that fifth generation computers will have the power of human intelligence, and the way human used to perform, it is intermingled with that and works on. The fifth generation computers will use super large scale integrated chips. They have AI, which I have already talked about, and it recognizes image and graphs. So voice-based recognition is coming up, where with the help of voice you can very easily put the orders, or you can just navigate to your Alexa or the voice recognition tools, and they can put the order. So e-commerce is going with that, with the voice recognition also. So there is no need of putting the text, and voice-based model is coming up. So fifth generation computers intended with natural language, and this is basically a classification of computers. If you talk about classification of computers on the basis of purpose, on the basis of data handling or technology used, and on the basis of size and capacity, because uh, because the cost is going to play a very important role, and we have to see that what exactly the purpose is, and on the basis of that purpose the things need to be done. It's not that you can have a big gadgets at your doorstep, but we have to see what could be the usage. Somewhere there are certain softwares, there are integrated softwares which provide flexibility to the users, that they don't require any the gadgets or the servers at their doorsteps. They can provide the logins and other things at their own servers, at their own the platform. So there you can reduce the cost of the servers, of the hardwares or softwares, and you can just pay the logins. So if you are, if the as a organization you have 100 employees or 1,000 employees, you can go for 1,000 logins, and they are going to charge on the basis of logins. So this is somewhere which has brought the changes, and from there the model is going to be changed. So on the basis of data handling or technology use, we have a separate chapter on data handling, and when we are going to talk about the data handling, we see how the big data analytics, how the data is going to be changed with the change of time. There was a time when data was just the name, mobile or email, but right now data is more over and above to that. Data is in the present scenario is talking about the real time data. At what time I am traveling, at what time I'm in my office, at what time I can leave the office and I am traveling, and during that time I can do the shopping, and during that time what kind of shopping I am doing, whether I am buying the fast moving consumer goods, or I'm buying the electronic goods, or I am just doing the window dressing. So this is something where you find out the things are going to be changed, and this is the way where the data and other thing is there. And when we talk about the computers, we talk about the software and hardware. Software is system software, I have already talked about, which is the operating system, and it could be Windows, it could be Macintosh, it could be Linux, Red Hat. And when you talk about the application software is have got ample number of avenues, ample number of ways. For fashion industry, you have a different kind of software. For multimedia, you have YouTube. For web series, you have got Netflix or Amazon Prime. For buying or ordering the food, you have got certain application which could be Swiggy, Zomato, Food Panda. So Google Play Store is there. Then a lot of model is there where you can do the thing. So when you talk about the software is quite tailor made, quite customized, and there's a time of customization. It's not like that you can compromise with your with the present state of affairs. You should customize the software, and customization is no doubt a costly affair, but some way it pays. because if you customize the software, if you make the user friendly applications, ultimately you will be in a win-win state, because consumer, employee, employer, everybody would be benefited. And hardware is changing with the change of time, and there are certain networks are there where you don't require n number of hardwares. With the help of Wi-Fi, with the help of networks, say there are 100 employees in the organization, rather than giving individual printers to all, you have installed a dedicated printers which can interlink all these 100 PCs or the personal computers. So this is where you can narrow down the cost of the hardware, and anybody can give the command, the print can automatically come. So this is where, and rather than why to go for taking huge number of prints, the paperless philosophy had come up, where you are going to put the data on the drive and it is going to be accessed by all. The blockchain technology, which I am going to talk in the coming slides or in the coming sessions, that how the blockchain technology is playing a very important role, where you can put the data on the drive, share it with thousands of people, and thousands of people can edit the particular text or documents at that juncture, and very easily they can know that what exactly the others are doing and what corrections the other had made. So this is a real-time way of doing the things, and this real-time model had come up where there's no waiting time, there's no going, no way of linger on the things. So if you talk about the application of software, there is a great use of computers, and there's a great use of technology in every part of the world. This education field, business, hospitals, and banking. And on the other hand, government offices, home, marketing, and students are also using. So in education field, we have seen that how the education industry is changing. The new education policy, which had recently been introduced by Ministry of Education, it talks about that how the education is going to be changed with the change of time, and it provides roof to the individuals. It provides roof to the student to choose their own syllabi, choose their own syllabus, and then they can frame their own curriculum, and then they study. So the credit-based model is coming up, and then in business also things have changed. In hospitals, we have seen that how the doctors are doing the video conferencing and trying to resolve the issue in an ASAP mode. Then banking industries also, we have seen that there was a time for a small job, for the small task, we used to visit to the banks, but here the computers, the things had been changed. We can see we can block our cards, we can temporarily block the card, we can reframe the limits, we can do the shopping at any place and in time with the help of this plastic money. And in government offices, we have also seen the governance had changed. The governance is there as far as the passport is concerned, as far as the Aadhaar card is concerned. We have seen that how the e-governance is going to be more fruitful now. So there are certain advantages and there are certain disadvantages of computers. So when you talk about advantages, it's speed of work, and when you talk about communicate globally and quickly, very quickly. You can, if you have a multiple locations, you can very easily do that. Accuracy, connection to the internet. This is the beauty, and data stored is there. We have a very good session on data handling and data stored. There we can talk about how the data need to be stored and how the repetitive data, the data which is useless in nature, can be eliminated, and natural resources can be saved and reduce workload. And on the other hand, we see there are certain disadvantages, like thinking ability can be reduced. We are more dependent on the technology, and the very good example is a calculator. Rather than calculating the things, we just open our desktops and find the computers and calculate the things from there. So our memory is somewhat dependent on that. Then computer breaks down, then what happens? Say I am presenting, and after certain time the power cuts or other issues come. I am quite dependent on my PowerPoint slides, but I can stop at that time. So this is the breakdown which is there. Addiction is there. You are more revolves around the technology. You think without computers you stands nowhere. You are in the no man's land. So, and the virus is coming up, cyber threats, cyber crimes. Another thing is there. We are going to talk more about the hacking and other things in our forthcoming session. Then it's very harmful to the environment because the lithium polymer batteries or the storage device, when we use it and throw it, it's quite harmful to the environment. So how you're going to reuse, or how you're going to take care about the garbage, the electronic garbage that need to be taken care. And other model is there. Anyway, I think this is all about the computers, and this is a curtain raiser to the first unit, and somewhat talking about the computer application in business. And we will definitely throw a light on various aspects of computers. For us, computer is just a combination of hardware and software. It's not just the computers, because when we talk about the computers, we have certain image in our mind. But in today's scenario, the computer is the smartphone, a software or the application or the Google Play Store, or any technological commerce which we used to do. So it's merely a technology. It's merely a contemporary thought which we used to talk about, and how it is useful to the business, that is more important, because this particular course, computer application in business, is designed for the commerce graduates, and so that they, once they accomplish this particular course or this particular program, they can create their own entity. They can get the employment, and more or less, I used to say, they can create their own enterprise and try to take care about the livelihood of the others, try to employ more number of people, and then on the other hand, serve the society by and large. Thank you very much. We will have more sessions in a coming days. Thank you.